let's get to the next one. That was a bit upsetting. I actually feel a bit upset after reading this one about the couple 84 and 92 being brutally murdered. Really, that's just ridiculous. Okay, let's go look at the next one. Why giving South Africa's chiefs more power adds to land disposition? Now this is actually quite interesting. I think this is another one that should be talked about. People always say black people didn't have any property or any rights or anything in old South Africa. That is not true. That's an absolute lie. If you actually look at a map of the old South Africa, let's find one. Let's see here. Let's go look here. Here you go. So, make this nice and big. Yeah, okay. So here you can see each of these ones. Make it even bigger. Each of these was a black state in the old South Africa. Fully run by black people, for the black people, as they wish to do what they want. Now the interesting thing about South Africa is this. Most of this area where there isn't any black states is very arid and dry. Like this whole area in the Northern Cape is basically just like desert. Nothing's really there. I mean, the only thing you really get is 25,000 hectare, 50,000 acre farms running a couple of sheep, because you need like acres and acres of land just for one sheep in this area. There's no water, there's no rain, it is all desert. Even further down here, the small area here around the Cape. Now this is fairly productive, but black people didn't come from here. You had the Khoisan, and they were the people that roamed the areas here, and they enjoyed the dry lands actually. And what happened was, in the end, they started living in the nature reserves, just living the old ways they used to live. But black people in South Africa, yeah, they used to come from these areas that's highlighted. That is actually where they came from. And in the old days, when apartheid happened, these areas were given for the black people and all the white people had to leave. Something interesting about South Africa is probably the best land in the country is this whole area here in the east, on the east coast, and then up north on the east. That is basically 10 to 20 times more productive soil, better watered soil than anywhere else in the country. And if you look at this, you can see that black people owned the vast amount of that land, maybe 50% of that land. I'm not sure if it's maybe more, but you can see this whole area here in the east. They owned the vast amount of it. Most of it was owned by them. The problem here is exactly as, and here's the other thing, this purple area, the vast amount, the most platinum in the world is basically in these areas. Black people owned it. They could do with it whatever they want. They could do really good farming as well here. They could cultivate whatever they want. Why didn't any of the international countries go and help black people develop their lands? If they had a problem with white people, fair enough, marginalize the white areas, don't have any involvement with them. But why did all the international organizations, societies and countries leave black people to their own demise in these super rich areas where they could go and get the abundance of farming, soil, mining, go and build things up, you know? They could have helped all the black people in their areas. They didn't. They just waited for the demise of South Africa. Now the whole thing's falling apart, which is really sad. So that's actually on the international community. May they actually get a bit of judgment on themselves for that. They should have helped the black people in the black areas if they didn't want to help the white people at least. yeah, like the most productive soil in the whole country is this whole east coast. Yeah, and black people had it all. The question now is, if they had it all, why does the international community keep on saying, or for that matter, the local community in South Africa saying that black people have no land? Now that's a good question. Why doesn't black people have land in South Africa? I mean, they had all this land, you know. I mean, that is really good land. I mean, this Free State, there's not a lot of land here, but that's all grasslands, you know. I mean, productivity-wise versus these other areas, it's pathetic. It's not even close to as productive. Not even fractionally as close. And it was all owned by black people. And these were all independent countries, actually. When the ANC got an opportunity to vote power in, they wanted more black people to vote for them. They wanted to obviously get the mass majority so they get in power, and then they can change the laws as they want. If they get enough votes, they can just do what they want. So what they basically did was they got all of these independent states to topple their own leaders and become part of South Africa. And that happened to all of these areas. So before the first vote, the fully democratic vote in South Africa, all these areas were basically taken over and forced into South Africa for the vote. That's how they all got into South Africa. But they were all totally independent. Black people could do what they want. No white people had any say here. You know, but black people didn't develop it themselves. They kept on working for the white people in the rest of South Africa. It's sort of a bit sad because they could have done a lot for themselves as well. This is really good land. You know? Either way, so now that I've shown you all of this, you have to remember only 13% of South African soil is very good farming soil. Now black people got a lot of that soil. They can say what they want and complain how they want, but that's a fact. They just didn't work it. And that's also a fact. Yo, this areas in the north, it's really good land as well for farming. Really good. They got it all. They didn't use it. Okay, so back to where we want to go. So now the question is, why don't black people have any land? I mean, they keep on wanting to take all the white farmers' land, you know, and redistribute it to black people. But all that land should have been in black private hands. And the fact is, black leadership do not believe in giving black people their own land. They believe in owning it all themselves and holding it for themselves. And the black people just live on their land. They do not believe in giving black people their own land and their own sovereign ability to go and work it. Now, I'm not sure if maybe it is that a lot of black people don't care about having it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just want the government to provide for them. You know, now there's a big communist group of people in South Africa and socialist group of people in South Africa, and maybe a lot of black people think that way, but I'm sure there's a lot of black people that would have loved to have that land. It is really good land, and they didn't get any of it. So now the South African government owns all that land, and they're not redistributing it to the black people. And basically the tribal chiefs, which is exactly what this thing is talking about, they just take all that land. Tribal chiefs own all that land, and the rest of the black people are basically their servants. And now black people stay in poverty because of a lot of this, and now they want the white people's land, and the white people work the land. Without the white people, the land is not being worked. Black people aren't really the best commercial farmers. You cannot get upset with me saying it, but that is just a fact. Some of them try, but then they get undermined in any case by black policy, black government policy. So they struggle a lot to actually get ahead. Once in a blue moon one might get ahead, but most of them fail. And then all they do is they basically lease the land out to white commercial farmers, and the white commercial farmers farm it. And then they still get demonized for the fact that they're farming it, which is really ironic. Okay, So in reality, black people should have a lot more of the really good soil in the country, but their own people did not give it to them, and that's a fact. Now that's a shame, but it is a fact. Now they're going to take all the other land, and then the whole place is going to fall apart. Yeah, let's see how it all ends up. There you go. Power over rural land has become more and more concentrated in the hands of local chiefs. That's exactly what happened. These black groups got these massive pieces of really good land in South Africa, and their chiefs took it all. They did not give it to their own people. Not one bit. And their own people then went and worked for the white man on the farm, and the white man in the mines, and the white man in his garden instead of having his own little piece of paradise. That's really the rest of this thing. It doesn't really matter. I've already summed up for you how it goes in South Africa. Just a bit of food for thought, because people always think the white people just had it all. The white people had to work fairly hard to make stuff productive in South Africa. They should have been way more just competitive, white and black and Indian and everybody being able to compete for themselves. Or what they should have done is they should have said, okay, fine, the same way that we distribute land for black people, we should distribute proportionally a small area for white people, and the rest of the place is then just democratic. That's the way it should have been done then. Or otherwise they should not have created all of these countries and just made everything democratic and competitive. Yeah, but either way, just something to think about. I mean, I know a lot of people always hear the sugar-coated stuff, but in reality that's the way it was. I remember we would drive through these black areas and there's nothing, absolutely nothing, except maybe a casino that some Jewish guy actually puts up because casinos were illegal in the rest of South Africa. Except for that, there was absolutely nothing. And then when these places became part of South Africa, then the massive mining conglomerates took over and started mining these areas. And then you had like farming conglomerates, like big sugar plantations and pine plantations as well in the whole East Coast area and up the east northern parts. And they took it all over there, and the black people still didn't have anything. They were living in poverty. The chiefs became rich, everybody else stays poor. So that injustice is once again not on the white people. It's sad, but I mean, you can always look back at it in hindsight. Everything is 2020 vision, right? But the problem is you can't take that kind of policies, bring it into a functioning economy and think things will go forward. It just won't. You have to be competitive globally, and that means that you have to have better policies than this. So I'm not sure. Cyril Ramaphosa's got a big problem, because he needs to keep all of the socialist communist groups happy. Otherwise he loses power, and someone else will just take it over. But yeah, just something to remember about South Africa. It was really vast groups of areas of beautiful land that the black people owned. And they didn't develop it, and the international community didn't help them to develop it. And then they just demonized all the white people in South Africa. Now, South African white people, they do deserve a bit of their fair share of it. But there's a lot of hypocrisy in the way it's going as well. And now the South African white people are really suffering hard. And black people are also paying a bit for it, because the white people run most of the economy due to their background in the businesses. Yeah. Either way, I hope this was interesting. Just food for thought. Do your own homework. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Keep safe. Bye.